Jedi Survivor has not been disappointing me so far. Now, for some PC players, you might disagree with that idea. However, for the console side of it, honestly, I've been having a great time so far and I can't really complain. Now, today I'm going to be discussing my first thoughts of this game so far. I'm not going to be going into any form of spoilers, so don't worry about that. So if you do care, don't worry, I'm not going to be jumping too much into anything regarding kind of like anything interesting with the story or plot. I'll be giving some brief ideas to kind of like the opening of the game, as that's like the main part that I'm on. But yeah, let's just jump straight into it by simply talking about one of the main things that has been on my mind since the moment I downloaded this game, which is the file size, which is a ridiculous and whopping 135 gigabytes on Xbox and 150 gigabytes on PS5, which is, you know, a massive deal, especially for a lot of players when you're thinking it's just a solo game like it is, and it's not like a fully open world-esque game like you would with, let's say, you know, with some of the Ubisoft types or some of the Witcher types, that sort of thing. So it's kind of surprising. However, mass majority of the size is down to just graphics. If you compare the Series S version versus the Series X version, I believe it's around about 90 gigs, if not 100 gigs difference, which is insane. Like I said, like genuinely just next level. But I have to say that this game looks impeccable. Like, it's genuinely outstanding how great this game looks, which, if you're someone who does care about, you know, the fact that a lot of games are just becoming movies with gameplay, which I can understand. However, again, I don't really care about this. This game's opening just makes this look outstanding. I don't care that it feels like a movie with gameplay. All in all, I think that it works, and it always has done with many different games out there. Red Dead 2, for example, gets that complaint a lot, and some of the Metal Gear games, for example. However, all round, I think they pull it off really well. The opening of this game as well just makes Coruscant look outstanding, and once you make it to like the second planet, you end up overlooking this cliff, and you just see how insanely good the graphics are in this game and how genuinely great this game looks all round. However, all of this is in the graphical fidelity mode, which does have performance issues. I'm not gonna lie. So if you're someone who really cares about frame drops and it irritates you a lot, I would not recommend playing it in the graphical enhancement version, as, to be honest, if you just are finding it annoying, which personally, like I've said, I don't really care too much about frame rates as long as it doesn't drop below 30, as that's kind of where I would say is like the bare bones. But if it's the case that you do really care about frame drop, play it in performance mode. You'll have a lot better of a time, and it still will look great. However, I've got to say, the graphical version, graphics first, is absolutely insane. One thing that was definitely a bigger jump that you can tell right off of the bat within this story is the extra effort that's been put into giving extra emotional weight for all of the characters involved. Within the opening, you'll see Cal actually being properly emotional for a change, and not just being the typical hero character who is cracking some jokes here and there, and is basically the version of himself that he was within the first game. He is way more jaded now, and you can definitely see this. It's got a very different tone in comparison to the first game. There's still the similarities, obviously, but you can tell this feels a little bit more mature. Very early on in the game as well, you'll end up meeting up with Grease again, and you can just tell there is a difference in the way his character is from the first game especially. And overall, the visuals of his character looks immense and just has to be said. But one thing that you can definitely tell is that they tried to put so much more emotional weight into the characters and the story that is going on in this game, so I have to tip my hat to them when it comes to that. Which, to be fair, is a massive surprise, as a lot of people do find things like the visuals and the gameplay is normally what gets put first before like increasing the storytelling perspective, but I feel like they've done a good job in kind of increasing all three and doing it well. But with the gameplay changes, you also know very quickly the change in skill trees, which personally I am a massive fan on. I mentioned in my video a while back talking about Jedi Survivor how I wanted to have an extended skill tree option, and they've definitely done this. Obviously not to the idea that I was hoping for, where you could master like different fighting stances and styles like you can within, you know, like how Anakin is form 5, I believe, Mace Windu is form 7, like all these different things. I would have found it really cool if you could like hone in on those very specifics. However, they've definitely done a good job in giving you different options when it comes to using two-bladed, one, or using dual. Like, I think all three of them giving you those different options is great. However, I do wish that, you know, you could hone in on those like specific stances and that sort of thing. I think that would be cool. But again, all round, I think that this is a great upgrade to this game. It adds a lot more replay value in comparison to the first game. I always found myself having a really difficult time wanting to replay the game, as whenever I'd restart, it felt so bare bones and slow that it just kind of never felt like you had much of variety to play as. You kind of are always stuck playing the same way, whereas this, you can actually feel in some way as if you have a little bit more of an option at the beginning, which will definitely change the way that people replay this game. This game though does do what a sequel should do, and doesn't actually fail at what most games do, which is making sure that this game is an upgrade of the prior without changing everything under the sun. The graphics are upgraded and look outstanding. The gameplay doesn't strip you back to complete basics like most sequels would do, and the emotional weight that's added to the characters and stories is an upgrade in comparison to the prior by just next levels. The first game, yes, you can argue there was some emotional weight in there, but it never felt like there was too much emotional tension, and I think this game is doing a really good job of putting that into place. It is a sequel that you can go straight into after the first game, which doesn't feel different enough that makes you feel as if you're playing a different game. It does a really good job of feeling similar, but adding more, which is a great thing that a lot of sequels really struggle with, but it also doesn't feel as if it's out of place or disingenuous to the original game. So I definitely say this game is good enough for you to purchase, but if you're an Xbox user out there and don't want to play this game right away off release and it's not like a big priority for you, then I'd definitely say just wait until it's on Game Pass, because it'll be a part of EA Access later on this year, most likely, roughly anyway. But yeah, all round, honestly, good game so far, I have to say. I know that there's mixed reviews right now and some people are complaining about it because of the PC port and there being some issues when it comes to the FPS drop, but all round, I wouldn't say that this game is awful by any means. So far, from what I've seen, I would say that it is a solid 7 to 8 out of 10, and yeah, that's genuinely where I would put it. But obviously this may change by the time I release my video essay at some point later this year. Most likely it'll be at the latter half of the year, because I want to play this game in my own pace, well, at my own pace in general. I've got many other video essays lined up throughout the year. Most likely you're going to see this along with 3 other games, as long as some of them actually release this year, at the end of the year as a like big bang end of the year. So yes, hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick video just discussing my first thoughts on Jedi Survivor. Let me know what you're thinking of it, and if you are getting it or if you don't want to get it at all, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.